Hi. I'd like to start today by talking about somebody very special, a puppy, Matea. She was euthanized this morning at 7 o'clock. She was my niece, she was my puppy niece. Um, she had stomach cancer and she was super happy girl until yesterday. She had cancer last year, and her mom got it all taken out, cut out, and all that, and it came back 2 weeks ago. And Mateo was doing good, and then yesterday she took a turn for the worst. So I'll post a couple pictures of Matea, so everybody gets to see how beautiful she was. And yeah, so I just want to say bye, Matea. So we're gonna change gears now. And when people were here on Friday I had my first death chocolate and death wine and chocolate, sorry. I discuss, great discussions about death. We painted wine glasses and some people painted coffee mugs and we ate a lot of chocolate. So it went super great. Like, it was a full house and everybody had a great time. One of the things that came up during that conversation was one of the girls, somebody in her family has been sick for over a year and isn't dying. This is really something important to talk about. You know, it seems so rude to think that you're waiting for someone to die and you're like, come on, die now. Because that's not what's happening. This happens everywhere, whether somebody is, losing their life chronically at home or if they're losing their life in a hospital. This is a very common occurrence that this happens. So I want to talk about it because I don't want people to think that they're alone in this or that they're doing anything wrong or abnormal. And it's just part of the healing, right? You don't want to go into a death with this horrific feeling of guilt that you've wished this person dead, because that's not at all what's happened. And everyone knows that that's not what's happened. So as my company, I want to bring all this stuff out. I'm like scratching the scars off everything and letting it all, or the scabs, I mean, and just letting it all out. That's what needs to happen. So my first example I'd like to give is someone at the hospital. you know Everybody calls, she's dying. Remember that conversation we had before? She's dying, and today's going to be the day that she dies. And everybody gathers around, and they're all prepared mentally, and they've all, decided, yeah, it really bites the big one that she's dying, and but we're going to stay strong, and we're going to get through this together. And then she doesn't die. She like hangs on and hangs on and hangs on for days in this unconscious state where people are at the bedside. And it gets kind of uncomfortable for everybody because they don't want to leave because they've already invested 24 hours into this and they don't know what to do. They don't know, sorry, somebody just walked by. They don't know what to do because they need babysitters and they have to get to work, and all these things are going on in the world. And well, if she's not going to die, then I got to get back to my life here because I can't sit in the hospital and pay this parking and everything. That's very, very common that happens. Another scenario that's happened is family want to be called. If she takes turn for the worst, please call us. Absolutely, we'll call you. Well, she takes turn for the worst. It's Karen calling. Want to let you know that, your mom has taken a turn for the worst. I think that everybody should come in. Everybody piles in the middle of the night, in the middle of a snowstorm, and everybody's there. Guess what your mom does? She loves you all there, so she's going to hang around a little longer and longer and longer. The family think the nurses are crazy. Why would you call us in if she's not really dying? Well, that's not our control in any way, obviously. But nobody knows what happens there. Like, why do they suddenly go from a deathbed, like, to absolutely, 6 breaths a minute to suddenly breathing at 28 breaths a minute and hanging on for days? No one knows why. It's, I don't know what to say about it. I really don't have a lot of wisdom. I just have a lot of experience, and I just want to say that that happens. And when you're like on day 2 and you're like, what is going on? Would you die or live? One or the other. Like, you don't want the person to die. Really, in your heart, you don't want them to die. You wish that you weren't in this position at all. But now that you're in the position, you just want things to move on a little bit. Very normal. Very, very normal. Everybody is feeling the same thing and thinking the same thing, not wanting to talk about it. So the third scenario that I'd like to discuss is a chronically dying person. It's actually one of the types of death that there are, is a person that has, a chronic illness, and they go along and along and along with this chronic illness, and something happens that starts their decline. So they might catch a pneumonia, they might break a hip, they might break an arm, something happens that starts this slow. Look at me with my graph with my hand. So you're going down like this because you've got COPD or some emphysema, something that is a chronic disease that is life limiting. And then a hip gets broken, and that starts a bigger decline down. But the problem is that decline still goes rather slow. It's usually not like a sudden drop off. It's still usually pretty slow that it's going down. But first of all, at the point where the diagnosis was made, everybody gathers and everybody talks and everybody writes notes, and they're all band together and they become Team COPD. They're going to beat this disease and they're going to help everybody along. And then that gets, they try that for a while, and then, it's not really working. The decline is still happening, and we can start to see that we're just getting older now. Somebody's just, mom's just getting older now. Then the hip breaks. You know that it's a bad situation. You know that if they do operate, which I think probably most cases they will operate unless the patient's quite old or has a lot of issues beforehand. They do operate, then you think, okay, they're going to fix it, then she's going to go back home and we're going to go back to this. You see her for the next couple of days seeming to improve. So you think that your decline has stopped and you've gone back to a plateau again. Then on day 4 or 5 at the hospital, a pneumonia starts. Something else starts. You start to see her forgetting things. She's like, Mom, what? That's a fork. Just eat. Things like that start to happen. And it's not a loss of love by any means. It's more love. It's the reason why people react that way is because they just want things to be better. They don't want to lose the person. They just want things to get better. Come on, Mom, let's go for a walk. She won't get out of the bed. She's sick now. Now our decline has started going rapid. Then your family decides, I know this seems like a long story, but I'm just trying to make a point. Then your family decides at that point that yes, we think she's going to die. And, it's probably for the better, even though in your heart you just don't want her to die. But, you're thinking it's probably for the better. But then she lives, and she lives for a year, or she lives for 2 years. And now you're using all the resources. Somebody's making all her meals, somebody's cleaning her house, somebody's going over there. And in the whole meantime, it's like Debbie is saying, how come Tina never takes out the meals or does anything for mom? And Tina's saying, why do I have to drive mom everywhere? Why doesn't Tina drive mom somewhere? And where's Dan in all this? How come he's not helping? And Dan's like, how come I have to shovel the walks every week? How come my lazy sisters don't do anything? That starts to happen. And people start to think, what is going on here? So that's kind of an issue I wanted to discuss, because it's important that people understand that, yes, you still love her. We know that. Everybody knows that you still love her, and really you don't want her to die. But now that you're on this decline and it's taking away from, you're trying to work around kids' hockey and, piano lessons and, work, and it's just taking a toll. It's just taking its toll on your family and your whole family, not just you and your husband and your kids, or you and your wife, or you and your kids if you're a single mom. Yeah, it's really something, and it's really true, and it really happens, and you're not alone. You're just really not alone. Caregiver burnout is something that's very serious. It can lead to really bad situations. It can lead to the caregiver, abusing substances like food, alcohol, drugs, increased stress in your family. So it can lead to, like, I'm not saying like big beatings or anything, but some abusive situations. Can even lead to abuse on the person that's slowly dying of this chronic illness. Caregiver burnout is very, very serious. And there's a lot of help out there. If you just Google caregiver burnout, you'll be able to read some articles on it. And whichever disease is the protagonist in this story, that society can help you. If it's the COPD, the Lung Society will help you. Alzheimer's Society will help you. All these societies have help for caregiver burnout. And there's also respite care. And of course, there's me here. I can help too. But I just want you to know that you're not alone, whether it's a quick death in a hospital and the patient hangs on for a couple of days, or, you get called in, the patient's dying, and then they go better for a little bit, or a chronic condition at home, where it's just this slow decline, and then that incident happens and it goes a little bit more rapid, but still takes like a year. So I just want you to know that you're not alone. There's lots of help out there, and don't feel guilty. It's completely natural how you're feeling. So take care. Again, you know where to find me. I'm at alongkissgoodbye.ca. I can be reached by telephone for a free consultation at any time. And then, of course, you can see my store hours on the Facebook page, and there's a little gift shop here. Actually, you know what? Let's look at the gift shop fast. I'm just going to turn you around. The sun is just going the other way right now. So that's the tiny little gift shop. That's that. Hopefully you don't get dizzy with me turning around this thing. So take care, and we'll talk to you later in the week. Bye. Thanks for watching.